You tell me.
Hey, Jay.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I can't hear.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you.
Huh.
She muted your volume up.
Let me do my volume.
Okay, it says that I'm not mute.
Wait. Let me try something else. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear
All right,
me?
now I can hear.
Can you tell her to let me in? Because I'm also.
All right, Mickey's trying to get in also.
Okay, but so talk again, because before you sounded clearer. Go ahead.
You could hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Now I'm just curious. I'm gonna plug this in. All right. You hear me now,
Not as well.
but I can't hear you.
Oh, that's a problem.
That's all right. So
I
I'm not
don't have
gonna
much to say, but yeah, that probably wouldn't be good. Oh, I'll let
All right, so
Ginger
I'm gonna
in. Sorry, Ginger,
Yes.
is that Mickey? And Mickey?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, I'm just,
but I'm trying to join the Guarini Institute. Okay,
right,
now
no,
I'm
I
in
knew
too.
that. Hello, thank you for being our guest moderator, Mickey.
Hi.
You're mute.
You could unmute you, Mickey.
Oh,
So she
mine?
she wants to talk.
Okay.
Hi.
Oh,
Hi.
hold on, I'm getting off.
Oh, bad. So when you both have your mics on, I think.
No,
It's my
you-
fault, my
you-
fault.
No, you need to be unmuted.
No, it's because she's hearing it on here. I have
Yes.
this muted.
Yeah, and I can't get no sound on my phone. I can only get low sound on my
Oh,
phone.
okay.
So I can't be on.
Okay, is this better? Oh shoot.
I have to unplug and move.
This is why we're meeting at 7:15.
Go in the dining room set.
I'll sit with you in the dining.
I'm just gonna move really quickly.
Sorry.
So do you need Mickey to like move the camera around for you, or you're just in one spot?
That's the way it is.
But Helene, I am here and I can move the camera if we needed it, but Jay likes to do it all on his own, so he set up his tripod.
Do you want me to turn it around?
So if you could see him, then that's fine. If you can't,
We can see him. I just didn't know if you were going to be moving around or if you needed a close-up of something, like when Judy did a challah demonstration last time. Mike actually followed her around with an iPad so that when she wanted to close up on the challah, I'm just, it's just a thought. I'm totally flexible.
This will be easy to hold then.
Hello, Babka.
Okay,
So
so is this better now? It's like still echoing though.
Here,
It's
hold.
a lot of echoing.
Here, you can put it in this. Easy, you can just hold.
Can I just do it from my phone?
Do it from your phone.
Yep.
We're getting a problem where, like, even if I go here, it's still echoing.
Okay,
Then maybe I should turn off the volume here.
turn off the
I'm
volume.
not turn this mute.
And let's see what happens if I do. Want me to use your iPad?
Oh wait, cause
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Helene, did you send me the spreadsheet?
No, I can right now. We're having some echo issues, so we're just working on that.
Okay,
I literally had somebody who just signed up like 3 seconds ago.
oh, I know, doesn't that always happen?
Yeah, she's like, I didn't get the link. I'm thinking you didn't register. Okay.
if I'm talking like this, cause
You can hear me?
Hi, Mickey, I'm Lynn.
All right, you can hear me?
I
Yeah, and feedback.
it's
I just
echoing.
want to mute
Do
and
you hear
unmute.
the echo, Lynn?
There are a few people talking at the same time, so I can't tell.
All
I
right,
tell you what,
then you have to, why not be next to me?
who? We can't get it so that get off of that and let's do it.
What do you want me to do?
Shut that down. I'm gonna join meeting on my thing.
All right.
We still have plenty of time.
Okay, I just got the list, thank you.
Could you let my mom in really quickly?
Yes, I think I can do that.
Thank you.
She is in. Welcome, Ginger.
Oops.
Okay, and now while you're doing that, I just have to make notes about Sunday. Lynn, the program is at 3.
Yeah. I'm just gonna
And
get,
next Monday on the 9th
right.
at 7:30. What's the name of Barbara's program?
Soothe your eyes, soothe yourself.
Is it Feldenkrais?
It is, but you don't have to say that. It's for people who are watching a lot of screens.
Okay,
You know, it's appropriate for,
okay. And
Right
this
now.
Thursday, we've got Lily.
but tell them to respond to that, not to arts and culture.
Right, I'll say it's adult ed.
You know what I was thinking, Helene? I wonder if we should ask people if they have any ideas for arts and culture programs that they would like to see us put together. They could reach out to us.
They can put your hand. Well, I see Jay now. You're looking quite handsome.
Hello?
Is this good?
I don't hear an echo.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, on mute.
But let's hear Jay talk. Can
Yeah.
will we be able to hear him?
All right,
go.
now can you hear me? You can hear me now.
Yes. Oh, but it is echoing.
How's the picture looking?
Then,
I know what I have to do. I know what I have to do.
I'm hopping out.
don't,
Okay.
Mickey is on this.
Helene, how did Mike do it last time?
I think they just had one iPad, but the difference was their moderator was on a different screen.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't have to have somebody else.
No, let Nikki moderate, but she'll go upstairs. Nick,
That might be helpful.
or do you want me to camera? Do you want a camera and you want me to operate the Zoom room? You can do the introduction.
Because out of the two of us, I think I'm better at operating.
Okay.
I vote for Bobka. That's their dog.
Oh, cute name.
For a baker, it's a good name, right?
They have a lot of people signed up.
Yeah, I think it's like 60 something people.
Wow. We're really getting more and more popular.
Well, either that or people are having, well, I think it's a combination of
Right.
things.
They have less to do.
And, people, it's a nice way to, 64 people.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And, even though they talk about the emails, the end of the day, people sign up and we don't, as soon as we send out the email, we get like 10 registrations.
Right.
Oh, I have to let Mickey Schnitzer and Jay.
You have to make me a co-host.
I will do that. Lynn Ross. Do I do that next to your
do that
name?
Under, yeah,
Make
as part of
co-host. Okay, you're now a co-host.
okay.
Do you want to make Lynn Ross co-host? Yes.
Okay.
all right.
Jay, you sound clear as a bell. Say something else.
Okay, this looks okay?
That I have to go out because now we have the same problem. When you go on there, there's two devices. There's two devices. They can't be two
Then turn
devices.
it off and we'll have to use
No,
this.
but now I hear the echo again.
Yeah, Ginger just turned her mute off.
Okay.
So that would just be muted.
Okay, I can't film you then.
And this will have to do. Then I will turn this off, you'll film.
No, it's okay. No, it's all right. No, don't turn it off. Don't turn it off. Don't turn it off. I'll go help Mickey upstairs.
All right.
You will not get any close-up of anything you're doing. That's all.
Then I'm gonna turn this off. and
Or
you will-
why don't you just give that to me?
I will give
Just
it to you.
give it to me.
Don't fall, whatever you do, Jay.
All right.
Should I become like a co-host or something?
Yes, I'm going to make you a co-host.
Thank you.
Puff, you're a co-host.
All right, Ginger.
Unplug.
Lynn, how do I mute everybody except, or should I just ask everyone to mute themselves?
You could
I
ask.
think there's a button
Mute all, and then how do I unmute each of you?
And then I think if you like hover over someone's name,
All right, so I'm gonna mute you all for a second. Mute all. But mute all current participants, yes. And then can I unmute you? You know what? I don't want to do that. How do I unmute you all?
I don't think you can unmute. You have to like ask people to unmute, but you can just mute everybody.
All right, I think we're okay. I'm gonna trust everybody for the moment. It's not my expertise.
You can mute everybody and we can unmute ourselves.
And if
Because you're
people-
co-hosts.
Yeah, and if people need help, we can help them unmute and like send them like the ask.
Well, nobody else should have to talk except your dad, you,
Yeah.
and me, really. So whenever we let everybody in, I will mute all.
Yeah, usually at the beginning, Mickey, just so you know, everybody is unmuted and people chat with each other a little bit and say hi and that kind of thing.
So are you ready for us to start? I'll let you get situated, Ginger, and then we'll start letting people in.
You're on mute, Mom.
I just need to flip the camera and try. Hold on a
Okay.
second.
Mickey, you're on mute too. You can
Yep.
unmute yourself.
How's that?
It's lovely.
Problem is I don't know how I can get in closer on him.
Or he could bring like the tray to you or the bowl
No,
to your
I'll work with it. I thought that I could zoom in on him, but I can't because he's just a screen. Right. It'll be like Sesame Street.
Yes.
Near, far. Near, far.
We got the concept. Okay. Are you ready for us to start admitting people?
Bark and
I
cry.
just have one more.
Yeah.
I have one more quick question just about,
Sure.
because I have a little like welcome thing. Like I have a little thing I wrote out. So are you going to tell me when to like start or
Yeah.
should I?
Yes. So what I'm going to do is welcome everybody. I'm going to do coming attractions and I'm going to explain what we're going to do this evening. And then I'm going to say that we have our youngest moderator ever. Mickey Schnitzer is here tonight, but she's one of the obligations of becoming a bat mitzvah is being a moderator at the Jewish Center or something like that. And I'm going to turn it over to you. You're going to introduce your dad and whatever your welcome and introduction is. And then your dad's going to take it away. And your job during the program, Mickey, will really be to look at the chat box.
Yep.
And to, Jay, is it okay if she asks questions as we go along if they're relevant at the moment?
Yes, yeah,
But
definitely.
there's one problem with that, because since I'm not like sitting right next to him and I'm like all the way upstairs, I'm not sure how that's gonna really work.
Mickey, I will hear you through the iPad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
If
yeah.
I
talk,
okay,
Mickey.
sorry,
All
yeah.
right. I'm going to start admitting people because I'm getting text messages like,
Hey,
what's the
Mick,
problem?
could you please shut the door so that we don't get the feedback?
Okay.
My big fat fingers don't get in the way.
All right, now people are going to start hearing you if you say that, just so you know.
I'm putting my.
Is everybody muted?
No, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
People are muting themselves out of, I guess, Zoom etiquette, but
Was it
I
very-
did not mute everyone.
It was a very quiet group to start, that's all.
Right.
Usually people are talking to each other right away.
Do you
If
want
you
us
want
to
to
mute?
unmute and say hello, you're welcome to until we ask you, until we get started.
Hi, Ed. I am.
Hi,
looking
Mickey
for-
Schnitzer. Hi, Mickey Schnitzer.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Hello,
Hi.
Nancy.
Hi, Nancy. Hi, Julie. Hi, Elaine.
Hi, Martha. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Susan, does he use dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Who
You
is
better use dark
Alex?
chocolate.
We're gonna find out, Nancy.
Helene, do
Susan
you,
and I have a thing about dark chocolate and milk chocolate.
Helene,
So
do you
we
know
still
who
love
Alex
each
is?
other.
Do I
Helene,
what?
do you know who Alex is?
No, but they're probably fine. No.
I
We have
wouldn't say
very
that
tight
out loud.
security. Don't tell anyone.
Are we gonna let Alex in?
I would, but or you could
Barbara
ask them who they
Grunwerk,
are.
I saw a picture of your, both Barbaras, hello. Barbara Grunwerk, I saw a picture of your focaccia bread thing. It was fabulous.
Thank you. It came out great. The recipe was perfect.
Great.
Nancy, if you want to be nice, text Fran because she was sure she would forget.
Okay.
I told her to set the alarm on her phone, but I don't know if she did. She's not in yet.
She doesn't use text, does she?
Do I know?
think
I have
so.
no idea.
Yeah.
I don't,
Communicate with Fran.
I don't
does
know.
anybody know how I can get my picture up there?
Yes.
Fran,
So in
Video.
the bottom left of your screen, Sandy, you have
Yeah.
two icons. One is a mute button and one is a stop video button. It has a slash through it. It means we don't see you. And if we want to be seen, just click on it and the slash will go away.
Oh,
There you go.
Thank you.
Ta-da! There you are. All right, we're gonna give it another minute or two. We're up to 43 people already. And
That's
is
a lot.
somebody texting me? Let's see.
I have 41.
I don't know, maybe I don't know, you're in a different universe, Sandy. I don't know what to say. My screen says 43. I don't know, 44? All right, Lynn, do you think we in a minute can get started and people will just join as they join?
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
Okay, as I'm talking, if you would just keep your eye on where I'm looking. Okay. Oh, I know what the difference is, Sandy. The hosts, the co-hosts don't count in your count. I just figured that part out. Aha, aha. That's why you don't see us.
Drew Walsh.
Anyway, I think we're going to get started. I am going to ask everyone but Jay and Mickey to mute themselves, and Lynn, who will keep letting people in. So first of all, I just want to say welcome. My name is Helene Isaacs. I'm one of the co-chairs of the Arts and Cultural Affairs Committee, along with Lynn Ross. We're delighted to be able to see each other and come together for these kinds of evenings and programs, because we seem to have a fair amount of time on our hands these days, for better or worse. We're delighted that Jay has agreed to teach us how to make black and white cookies. I can say personally, I'm just thrilled. Growing up, rumor has it, family legend, that our local bakery made all black and whites for me because I was so special. As an adult, I find that very hard to believe, but my parents aren't alive to ask, so I'm just going with it. But I grew up loving black and whites in Brooklyn, so we're really excited about this evening. Before I turn this over to our moderator, I just want to give a plug for a couple of our upcoming programs. This Sunday is a program called Jews of Uganda with Rabbi Schoenberg and his wife, Rabbi Felix. And if you haven't already registered, please send an email to artsandculture@thejewishcenter.org. Next Monday night at 7:30 with Barbara Abramson, there's a program called Soothe Your Eyes, Soothe Yourself. So it's for people like many of us who are spending a lot of time in front of screens these days, and kind of, it'll be giving us techniques to relax. And while it's not arts and culture, I just want to make a plug. Thursday night is Lily Brent, Sally and Dan's daughter, who runs a Jewish volunteer program in Atlanta, and she's going to be speaking at the Great Minds Salon. And if you do RSVP and need a link for that, please don't write to artsandculture@thejewishcenter.org because it's not our program, but write to adulteducation@thejewishcenter.org and you'll get a link for that. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our moderator. This evening, we have the pleasure of Mickey Schnitzer being our youngest moderator for these Zoom programs at the Jewish Center. I joked with her before we got on that maybe it's an obligation that you take on as you become a bat mitzvah, is to be willing to be a moderator at the Jewish Center. So since she's a recent bat mitzvah, this was one of her first things she's doing, giving back to TJC. So I'm going to turn it over to Mickey to be our moderator and to introduce her dad.
Okay.
Mickey, it's all yours.
Thank you. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Mickey Schnitzer and I will be moderating this Zoom session. Before we get into the baking, I would like to establish some ground rules and introduce our baker. First off, please keep your mic muted at all times. This will help prevent feedback, lagging, and crashing, which would not be good. Second, if you have a question or comment, please type it in the chat. I will be reading these questions out loud and I will keep it anonymous unless you provide me with your name. Every question is a good question, so ask away. Now to introduce the star of tonight's Zoom, Jay Schnitzer. Before becoming a baker, Jay worked for an HVAC sales company as a project engineer. After I was born, he quit his job and became a stay-at-home dad. A few years later, he decided he wanted to become a baker. With determination and hard work, he went to Mercer County Community College to get his degree in pastries. From there, he started baking more and opened up his LLC, Abba J's. Tonight, he will be making New York-style black and whites and will be walking you through each step. If you don't have the recipe, I will be linking the PDF in the chat. Now let's get to the baking.
Hi and welcome. Black and white cookies I grew up with, like probably a lot of you, and I love them. And when I became a baker, this is the one thing that I really, really wanted to do. And eventually I was able to find a really good recipe for it. And this is the recipe that I have shared with you and that I'm going to do tonight. As you can see, this is not a Kitchenaid. I do have a Kitchenaid, which after making a lot of bread in, I would overheat it and it just couldn't handle what I was putting into it. So I found this bigger beast. It's a Bosch, and it's a lot better for it, for bread and making cakes. So same process of creaming, but you'll see. So we'll get started. What I like to do, I like to use as little as few bowls and things, so it's easier for cleanup. I normally weigh everything just in this, but I did do a little bit more tonight just to slow the process down so you can see the technique. Also, I recommend getting a really good scale, one that that shows grams and ounces and pounds. I convert all my recipes from cups and teaspoons, tablespoons into grams. Much easier just to weigh it all out. It's faster and more efficient and things come out the same. So first thing, tare it out. And just like my recipe, I'm going to be using butter tonight instead of the shortening. You can use either, but butter is always a little more tastier. So we have the 295 grams of butter. Put that right in. And it needs to be room temperature, so it's easier in creaming. Otherwise, it will take much longer if the butter is hard and cold. Next, I have the sugar, 430 grams of that, the sugar.
Jay, we have a question
Yeah.
from Merrill. What shortening would you have used instead of butter?
I normally use Crisco, the standard. I've always used it and it's always comes out well for a lot of things. Let's see, next thing, we're going to use a little bit of cake flour. Now, this is the total amount of cake flour because I have it in 2 sections. We're going to put a little bit in. And the cake flour, I've done it this way just to make sure you know how to measure flour the correct way. You just can't put the scoop into it unless it's been aerated. So just to show you how it's done, do a quick step. It's called scoop and plop. Scoop, and then you just plop, and then just get the rest off. You don't shake it, you don't pound it down. It is what it is. So now I'm going to put in 153 grams of the cake flour. And even if it's a little bit more at this point, that's okay. You just want to get a little bit of the flour in. All right.
Jay, we have another question.
Okay.
What's the difference between using cake flour and all-purpose flour?
Cake flour has cornstarch in it. Also, it's a lower protein flour. All-purpose, like I said, is all-purpose and higher protein. Those are the real differences. Also, the cake flour is used for making things more tender. So if you decide to swap out one for the other, there are formulas of how to substitute it, but you have to make sure you're adding or subtracting it correctly. So we have that cake flour in. Next thing is the baking powder.
Jay, we have another question.
Okay.
We actually have two questions. One
All right.
from Meryl. When you're done.
I'm listening.
Okay. From Meryl, have you ever used gluten-free flour?
No, I've never baked gluten-free. That's something I have not tackled yet.
And we have another question from Heidi. Is there a specific scale you would recommend?
I like the one that I use. It's called My Way. It's just the way it sounds, My, then Way, W-E-I-G-H. You can look it up online. There's a couple places that you can order from. I've had this for a while. The newer version of this has a baker's percentage scale, if you know what that is. Just a way of measuring recipes and either increasing the amount of the recipe or making it smaller. Let's see. All right, now 10 grams of salt.
I'm going to come around your other side.
Go ahead.
Just so I can see you adding stuff.
10 grams.
There we go. That's better.
All right, so we have 10 grams of salt. Away. Now the creaming process. And as you can see, it's pretty messy in there, and it's going to be yellow when it first begins. What we want is when it creams with the sugar and the butter, we want this to become white, light and fluffy. So now you probably going to come here. So with this cap, you have a lot of flour in here, you don't get the big poof of dust. Now it's going to get loud. The other thing that's good about this model, you can get scrapers on it, so you're not having to turn it off, scrape down the bowl like the Kitchenaid.
You might want to mention while you do the shortening sometimes.
All right, we're getting there. In the meanwhile, while that's mixing and creaming, next we do our eggs. Eggs should be room temperature. Pretty much everything should be room temperature. It will mix together easier.
Jay?
Yes.
We have another question. If
Bring it
using,
on.
if using a KitchenAid, would you just mix it on a medium setting?
Yes, medium to high medium. So you incorporate the sugar with the butter, gets air in there a little bit, and it mixes faster. Yes. So now I'm gonna crack the eggs and put it into a bowl separately, because if you crack it in there, good chance of getting shells in there, and that's not a good thing. All right. Sorry, my back is to you. So now it's the 7 eggs. You two can do some.
We have 2 more questions.
Okay.
So one from Martha, and she asks, what kind of mixer? I'm not sure if she means what kind of mixer are you using?
Okay. The mixer that I'm using is called a Bosch, B-O-S-C-H.
And the second question we have from Heidi, which is how many black and white should we anticipate from this recipe?
I guess it depends on the size that you make the circles. You can get out from 25 or less. It just depends on the size of the circles. But you get a good amount of black and whites out. For today, I'm going to make them on the larger side, so it's just easier to see. And now, also, I like putting my liquids together. So, got my vanilla extract. Now, this vanilla extract is by a company called Bacto. They're located in New Brunswick, and I found out about this in one of the Jewish magazines. It's developed by an Israeli scientist, and she's trying to bring vanilla growing to different countries, so they're not all located in Madagascar. I noticed last year, for whatever reason, I guess a drought in Madagascar or whatever, the price of vanilla increased insanely, it doubled. A quart of vanilla extract was going for over $100. So when I found this, especially when it's designed by an Israeli scientist, it's really good, and it's in New Jersey, and it's local. So I like using this now.
We have another question.
Yes.
Why do some baking recipes say to add 1 egg at a time versus today while you're adding all eggs at once?
Good question. I'm only putting all the eggs into this one time. It will make it easier for me when I pour them into the mixer. I'm not just going to pour them in one drop. I'm going to do it slowly, maybe a third at a time. And that's because you want the eggs to get emulsified properly with the creamed batter that we have right now. Otherwise, it will curdle and it just won't come together properly. So I'm going to do it slowly. And after each step, it's the only way I could describe it is you want the slime of the eggs to disappear. You don't want to be able to see it before you put the next batch of eggs into it.
Before we move on, we have 2 more questions.
Okay.
Should we have already added in the baking powder?
Yes. If with the recipe, you try to have all of when you're creaming, actually, you don't have to. I like putting it in up front. You can put the baking powder in with the flour and the other dry ingredients, but I like putting it up front so it gets mixed in better.
And our second question is from Heidi, and where did you buy the vanilla?
The vanilla, I went to their website. It's called Bacto Flowers, B-A-K-T-O, I'm sorry, Bacto Flavors, B-A-K-T-O, then flavors.com. All right, so now back to the mixer, gonna get loud again. As you can see, if you take a look, you can see that it's become white. Now we want to get rid of the slime in this before we get the next batch. And then always, so always with eggs or whatever, make sure you have a spatula. Because if you take the time to weigh everything, you want to make sure everything that you weigh goes into what you want to make. Otherwise, it's not going to come out right. Now the next step is we have our cake flour. And now, I know the recipes does say water, which I've used, but because I'm doing this dairy, I'm going to use whole milk. And water and milk, same amount. There's no change. It's equal amount. So 172 grams of water, 172 grams of milk.
We have another question from Debbie. If
Okay.
using a Kitchenaid, do you use a dough hook or paddle?
You would use a paddle on this. And even if it's just 1 or 2 drops over, it's okay. And also, if you don't want to put the vanilla in with the eggs, you can put the vanilla right in with your water or your milk. It's liquid, same thing. So now, let me get this out of the way. The way this works now, because you're alternating, it's always dry, wet, dry, wet, dry. So we're going to put a third of the flour in, let that get mixed in, then half the milk, then the flour, then the milk, and then the final batch of flour. Just want to get this off the beaters.
We have 2 more questions.
Okay, I'm sorry, give me a, hold it. Okay, bring it on.
Okay, so the first one says, I make black and whites weekly. My recipe, okay, so the first question is, I make black and whites weekly. My recipe calls for buttermilk. What's the difference in taste and consistency?
I'm guessing with the buttermilk, you're not going to have that sour-ish flavor from the buttermilk. This, which I'm using butter, it's just a different profile. I guess creamier, but buttermilk probably similar to buttermilk pancake. You have that little tang of taste, I guess. I've never used buttermilk in this, so I'm guessing.
Okay, we actually have another question as well. Whole milk, or could you use a less fatty milk?
Yes, whole milk, just you have more of the fat there, a little creamier. But I've used 2%, I've used 1%. I try not to use skim milk if I can. But even normally when I make this parb, I'll use water and it comes out fine.
Okay,
It's just not as rich, which you're using the higher fat.
okay, we have one more question.
Okay.
So, aren't you afraid of cutting your fingers when you put them into the mixer?
You noticed that. I know that wasn't a good thing to do. I shouldn't do that, but I'm so used to it of just touching up here. I feel confident enough, but probably a bad habit. So don't do.
Don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home now. Now it's the scraping off. All right, now. Normally I would put on some gloves or I would just use my hands, but I don't feel like getting them all covered in batter tonight. Or
I'm coming on this side.
And I'm not going to make them as clean, but this batter is really good to eat just the way it is. And yes, I know we probably shouldn't eat raw batter, but it's really good. All right. Oh, that's good enough. All right. Now we have this. We have the batter all ready to go. The oven, I already preheated, which I probably should have said at the very beginning that before you start making any recipe like this, or any recipe, get your oven on so it's ready, it's heated, and you're ready to go where you just pop it right in. Because with the baking powder, that's the leavening, and it requires moisture and then the heat to give it the leavening. But you don't want the batter sitting around too long because it can lose its punch to rise. So now, so the way our sheet pans, which I already have parchment paper in. These are not cookie sheets, these are regular sheet pans. These are half sheet pans. Larger ones will fit in the commercial ovens that restaurants or bakeries use, but for a home oven, a half-size sheet pan with the lip is good. And I have a pastry bag. This is a 21-inch, I believe. And then I have a large plain round tip. This is a Tico, and it's tip number 808, if you want to know. Now, you can get the adapters for it, but I find it easier just to take the tip, drop it in the bag, push it down to the end, and then with a scissor, close to the edge, let's squeeze and turn. And then you're set. And before you put the batter in, because this is a loose batter, twist it and then push it down.
We have a question.
Yes.
So, can you use an ice cream scoop to make the cookies?
Yes, you can. They probably will be more rounded, and I don't see why not. But the batter, all of the batter might not come out of the cookie scoop, out of the disher. This way, you know, when you squeeze it out, it all comes out. So yes, you can, but I'm not sure how much of the batter will come out.
We have another question.
Okay.
If you're a novice and you don't own a pastry bag and tip, can the cookies be made without one?
Yes, yes. This batter is also known as a wine cake. So you can use this batter for many, many different things. You can, if you want to use your the cookie scoop, put it into cupcake papers. Just plop it right in there. Or you can make this a loaf cake. You could add chocolate chips to it. You could add, instead of the vanilla, you could add other flavoring, other extracts depending on what you want. But this is a very universal batter. You could do a lot with it.
And also, it's not terribly expensive to get a pastry bag and a
No,
tip.
it's not expensive to get it. But if you don't want to, these are the other options. So now I'm gonna take this and just put it in the pastry bag. You squeeze your hands. Either you can squeeze it or you just wipe it along the side. And you try to make it, I'm gonna probably make these maybe 2.5 to 3 inches in diameter. All right, so you fill it up about halfway. If it's filled up too high, everything will come out and it's hard to squeeze. Now, as you can see, because what I did down here, I'm able to push this down and nothing's come out. So now you just pull it and twist. Squish it, squeeze it. And now, now the tricky part. Make your rounds. And you want them spaced out. And give it a little flair, a little twist, so you don't have the bump. If you still get the bump, wet your fingers with water and just smooth it down. And also, you don't put the tip all the way down to the sheet pan itself. You have it maybe an inch, inch and a half above. No flare. Now I'm going to make another one. And this will bake in my oven about 15 minutes or so. And you want to be able to, all right, that's good enough. Also with this batter, I added a little more flour to it. Because the previous batch, it was a little too thin. So if you add a little more flour, hopefully it will hold the dome better, it will stay up higher. So we'll see how this works. So now, right into the oven. Timer, 15 minutes. So while that is doing it, I guess I'm not going to continue. Well, I can start preparing these other pans. No, better yet, I'm going to start frosting. So I'm going to put this off to the side. And I've already made some beforehand. And this is the fun part. Now this I had my chocolate. Let me see if I forget. So this is the semi-sweet chocolate, the butter, and the corn syrup in here. I have it over a simmering pot of water. This is a double boiler. Simmering just means very low temperature. You have small bubbles in the water, not boiling, and just enough heat to melt it. And now it's just mixing it together. It's melted. So you bring everything together. And I'm not using a whisk. A whisk would incorporate air and you'll get more air bubbles in it, and that's something you don't want when you're trying to have a smooth finish. If you do get bubbles, you can take a toothpick or something with an edge or with a tip like that and just pop them. So I'm going to take this off and just continue to mix. It's a nice recipe. And because of the black and whites, I have a really good story about Rabbi Feldman. Back in the day when the shul had their gift boutique, and they would had the concession stand where they had the food and snacks. I decided I would donate black and whites. And it was the year of the Yankees and Phillies being in the World Series. So I'm all happy. I made red and white with the Phillies logo on it. And I made the blue and white for the Yankees with their logo on it. I brought it in all happy. And there was Rabbi. He sees them, he comes over. He looks at them, impressed. And he points at the Phillies. He goes, kosher. He looks at the Yankees, treif. So I whenever I make this, I always remember that. It's a wonderful feeling. So now this is mixed, at least it looks like it's mixed. And now we're going to put the glaze on the chocolate.
We have a question.
Yes.
Actually, two. Do you
Okay.
ever use cocoa powder instead of semi-sweet chocolate?
I have used cocoa powder. I found that when it dries, it gets really pale and dry looking. So I wasn't happy with it. I like this recipe because it does come out nice. But you can, and perhaps by fooling around with the cocoa powder, and you probably can get it looking good. But I do prefer this better for this. All right, so now, yes.
Before the second question is, why do you make the chocolate icing without the confectioner's sugar like the vanilla icing?
I don't know. No, because you don't need it. Actually, that's the reason why. The semi-sweet is just like it says. It's cocoa and a good deal of sugar, so you already have the sugar there. Confectioner's sugar, confectioner's sugar with the water, you make a fondant, so it becomes liquid like this. So now you could use a spoon, or I'm used to using this or a spoon. So you use it, and you might have to get on my other side.
Which I don't know.
Oh, right side, right? Yeah, on this side you'll see. And it has the straight edge, and then just like that, you just keep going on it.
While you're icing, we have another question.
Yes.
Is there a substitute for corn syrup?
Yes. There's a couple of things. I think you can use agave, and probably some other things like that. And then you give it a little shake. And I will I will put it in the freezer for about, normally I would have this in the freezer for about 5 or 10 minutes just to chill it. And then when you take it out, when you put the chocolate on, it sets up faster. So we have that one done. There. And yeah, it is tedious, but it's fun. And in the end, it's a nice treat. Give it a little shake. And because of the corn syrup, you get that shine to it. Last one. And you do the best that you can. So that's 3 of them. I'll put this back here just to, no, I'm put it over here. And now we're going to do, on this side, away.
We have another question.
Yeah.
So from Mindy, why would you do the chocolate side first? It seems like the vanilla first would be easier if you didn't get it in all straight and neat.
I like doing the chocolate side first because it sets up faster. Excuse me. The chocolate just sets up faster, I find. The white side takes a little longer. Now with this fondant, I've already used, I weighed everything out. With the confectioner's sugar, I used a strainer here because the confectioner's sugar can be clumpy, but even in a fresh bag, it shouldn't be clumped, but it's just force of habit for me. I'll take the sugar, put it through, use my hand to force it through, and it separates it. So when you're adding the water or the other liquids, you're not going to have these hard little clumps, which when you put it onto your black and white, you don't see these undissolved. So with this, I could use either milk or the water. I'm going to use the water instead for this. And you want to slowly add the water. If you add too much water, it becomes liquidy. But if that happens, just add some more confectioner's sugar. So you're going to be going back and forth. That's the reason why I don't have a measurement for the water. I will warm this up a little bit, or just as long as it's room temperature, we're good. And it's just by eye and feel when you add in water. So this has the confectioner's sugar in it, and it has the corn syrup. And I used, instead of using the vanilla extract, I used a imitation vanilla that's clear. I find when I use this, the white of this isn't as white because this is dark. Just a little bit to start. And you need a lot of spatulas. And then it's just mixing. And from this, I know I'm going to need to add more liquid. Just very dry. And it's a feel, get an idea for it.
We have another question.
Okay.
So instead of hand mixing it, could you put it in a mixer?
I guess you could. I do it this way because you have more control. Also, if you use a hand mixer, I think you're going to add more air to it. And that's the one thing you always try not to do. You don't want a lot of bubbles. You like to have a smooth fondant. A little more water, we're getting there. This is just the process. And in the meantime, while we're doing this and mixing it, that chocolate on the black and whites on the cake has time to set up a bit. So when I go back to it, it won't be as drippy. And it's getting there. Just have to make sure to incorporate all that water. And I'll be checking on the cake soon. And I know you're not supposed to put your hand into an oven, but like my mother, I do. I'm old school. When you check the cake, you could either use a toothpick or a cake tester, or you use your nose by the smell. If you start smelling it, it's done. Or by feel, when you push on it, it should spring back lightly. Just don't cram it in there, you push it lightly.
We have another question. So
Yes.
if you made this into a loaf cake, how long do you bake it?
Well, it depends on how big a loaf it is. It could be from, I guess, maybe 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes. Just depends on the loaf pan.
And we have another question. What is the difference in consistency if you use milk versus butter?
I didn't mean butter, not butter.
Oh,
Sorry, I meant water.
Water, same consistency, but because of the milk, you'll have more fat in it. So it might be, it will be a little richer, creamier is the big, well, that's the big difference. It'll be creamier. You should have that fat. And when you get a chance to go all dairy, you go all dairy.
But when you're making a pot roast,
When you're making a pot roast, it's shortening, it's Crisco, it's fat in the can, you know. All right, so this looks pretty good. And before I do that, I want to check on the caper spray, about 2 minutes on that. Now, my mother in her day, she would normally wear a sweatshirt, a ratty old sweatshirt, and instead of these, she would take them down, put them over her hands, and use them as
The
potholders,
sleeves.
and just pull them on out, use your sleeves. But because my sleeves are like that, I'm gonna use these. Oh, these are good. You see around the edges here, you have that golden color. Push it in, it springs back, and we are good. Turn off that.
While you're taking these black and whites out of the oven, we have another question. So which is the best icing, like which is the best to get the icing to crack?
Say that, what was the question again?
Which is the best to get the icing crack? I'm not sure exactly, like maybe what would you use?
I'm not sure what, I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Oh, when you break them apart, like what will break the icing apart? Like what will get it, I guess, the hardest?
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. What I guess you mean about the frosting. The frosting, it's a soft frosting, so you're not going to get a snap like a candy bar or something. You want it soft. I've seen plenty of black and whites that, well, what they called black and whites, where they used like a buttercream or really soft frosting on it, or it had a lemony taste to it, a citrusy taste to it. To me, that's not black and white. These are black and whites.
but after 3 days, the frosting will crack.
Eventually, it will dry out and it will crack. So that's the only way. You have to let it dry out. All right, so now we'll put the final touch on it. It's always interesting to hear. All right, so I'm going to try and do it on this side. All right. So now these are still wet, and that's okay. You're gonna come to my right side.
I'm coming.
All right, and do the same thing. Same thing. You want it to flow. If it's too thick, you just add more water to it. If it becomes too loose, you add more sugar. Now this probably is a little on the loose side. I added a little bit too much water.
No, it's good.
No, okay, if that looks good. And there you have the black and white. I'm gonna do these two. And if you decide to race on over here, you get some. So I'm waiting to see you, Nancy.
The mother-in-law will be over tomorrow to have one.
Excellent.
You're gonna have to beat Bobka out.
Yes. And that's it. This is the fun of it. I know it looks like a pachka, but it is a lot of fun. People will be impressed if you do this. One more.
Carol Schwartz says they look fantastic.
Oh, thank you,
Fabulous.
Carol. All right, Carol, when are you coming over? You're gonna send the Schwartz out?
I can be there in about 10 minutes.
So, there you go.
Carrie Spiegel, they look great.
Thank you. So, that's these, but I want to show you. I made these yesterday, so I have something.
Before you show them to us, we have 2 more questions.
All right, I'm hiding it.
Okay.
Yes.
So what are the most common mistakes in making these?
Not measuring properly. That's why I like converting everything into grams. It's a straight number. You don't have 1.5 cups of this or 2.5 ounces of that. 227 grams is half a pound. 454 grams is a whole pound. And it's just easier, faster. Also comes down to the creaming at the very beginning with the first ingredients, the sugar and the fat, either the shortening or the butter or margarine. You want to make sure it's creamed properly. And then from there, each stage, you want to make sure all the ingredients go in properly and get emulsified, get mixed together.
And one final question is, how long do you let them set up before serving?
Well, you could do it depends. If you're ready to go, those are ready to be eaten right now, if you don't mind everything dripping. If you can't wait, you could pop them in the refrigerator or the freezer for like 5 to 10 minutes to help set up, or you just let them sit on the table for maybe a half hour to an hour.
And do these cookies freeze well?
No.
You can open the freezer. Go ahead.
I made these. This is part of the batch, and I freeze them.
Don't ice them though.
You don't ice them, because it will crack and dry them out. The only reason why you see them stacked like this is because I pre-froze them. On the sheet pan, the way this is right here, I would take the sheet pan as is, put them into the freezer. They'll freeze, and then you could put them into the plastic bag, and hopefully they will not stick together. If you want to be on the safer side, you can cut some of the parchment paper, slip them on top if you're going to stack them in the plastic bag, and then they definitely won't stick to each other. And then to eat them, I could take one out right now, eat it frozen, it's really good. Or I take it out, let it sit for a little bit, put on the icing, and you're good.
You might mention that there are some people in this household that like to eat them without icing, and we call them baldies.
Yes, there are some individuals in this household that do like them bald. So we have designed these. These are, as they are, they're baldies.
Right.
When they get the icing.
That is a
they're black and
baldy
white.
over there.
So now, this is what they look like. I made these yesterday. And because, you know, it's election eve, tomorrow you should vote. Go vote, important. You know, always like Seinfeld says, look to the cookie. It brings joy and happiness. So I hope you enjoyed this. It's been a lot of fun. And if you have any other more questions, I'm here.
Oh yeah, we do have one more question.
Okay.
So if they don't get eaten right away, how should they be stored? In a plastic container?
Excuse me. You can before you put them into a plastic bag or container, you have to make sure the frosting is not tacky, it's not sticky, that it is pretty solid. And then you just pop them in airtight container and you're good. I stored these from yesterday. This is all the way I stored it, just with this on it from yesterday when I made these. I could have also wrapped it in plastic wrap on the pan, which I do also. And they stay. just as long as you wrap them, these are good for at least a week. And if you don't mind them a little longer, go a little longer.
Or freeze them and then ice them as you want to use them.
Yeah. So I hope you all enjoy this.
right.
And we have one more question.
Okay?
Can you make one big cookie as a cake?
Yes, you sure can. If you have the right size pan, like I said, this batter, if instead of making the cookies, just could have taken this sheet pan, you would spray it or grease it so it wouldn't stick. Take the whole batter right into it, smooth it out with an offset spatula or something else like that. Then pop it into the oven and just bake it off. Remember, it's only be this thin, so probably about 15, 20 minutes baking time. And then you would just test it, see if it springs back and firm. And then you'll have a really nice cake. You could then cut it in half, put a filling in, flip it over, then enrobe it in chocolate, get something good.
All right, Mickey, do we have any more questions?
One more.
Okay.
If they are dairy, can you still leave them on the counter?
If they're dairy.
If you make them with milk, can you leave them on the counter or butter? In other words, are they going to go bad because they're dairy?
Okay. No, they will not go bad. There's enough sugar in here that you don't have to worry about that. No. I've kept these out. I made a lot of these beforehand, and they're fine.
They don't stay that long.
They don't stay that long.
People eat them.
All right, I think, is there anything else in the chat? I think we're good.
Yeah.
So first of all, on behalf of the Jewish Center, I want to thank you, Jay, and the entire Schnitzer family. Mickey for moderating, Ginger, your camera person, Babka for adding some good barking and guarding your house. We wish we could eat them right now. This was really a lot of fun, very, very informative, and I know I'm going to give it a try. So thank you.
Give it a try.
Wonderful.
And I'm here for any questions, emails, calls. I'm here if you need any help.
Mick, did you have some information you wanted to give at the end of this, Mick?
Yeah, so first, before I say anything, before everyone logs off, I would just like to say such big thank yous to Helene Isaacs, who organized this program with Lynn Ross, the Arts and Cultures Committee at the Jewish Center, to all of you who have stayed on, asked questions, interacted with us, and just joined us over Zoom, to my mom, the camera woman, and the dog handler, and my dad, the main event. And also before, when I'd introduced my dad, you might have heard that he has an LLC, Abba J's. He is currently accepting orders for challah for Friday nights and sufganiyot for Hanukkah. For more information, you can write to sufganiyot@gmail.com. I will put this in the chat. And yeah.
Jay, are you taking Thanksgiving orders?
Whatever you need, sure.
I just didn't know. Okay. All right. So again, just some announcements coming up. So remember, Sunday is the Rabbi's Program on Jews of Uganda. Monday night is Barbara Abramson, Soothe Your Eyes, Soothe Yourself. And Thursday night is the Adult Ed Program with Lily Brent in the Great Mind Salon. So we hope you all enjoy your evening. We hope we all can be whatever you want to celebrate tomorrow, go vote. And I hope everybody has the outcome they're hoping for. This was a great distraction the night before Election Day, so perfect timing. Yeah, we got it. Thank you again. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Great job, Jay. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Just terrific. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jay. It was great.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jay. It was wonderful.
And
Thank you.
and thank
Yes.
you, Mickey.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, it was wonderful. And when my dog heard Babka barking, she started barking too.
Oh, I can't wait to make these. Always my favorites. Thank you.
Love
You may be in the lineup. Sorry.
Ginger, great camera work.
Oh, thank you.
I'm coming over to get some cookies. I know where you live.
We're here.
Diane, I'll pick you up and we can be at the Schnitzer's in just a
And
few
we'll
minutes.
put our masks
You
on.
could do
Okay.
a
sounds good.
drive-by.
Don't forget
Let's do a
me.
drive-by, contact-free
Please do.
delivery.
We're only 5 minutes away.
Mickey Schnitzer, you were amazing.
Yes, Mickey.
A great
Vicky,
moderator.
you may be in the lineup to be a moderator. We may have to come back to you.
Oh, yeah.
Mickey's
All
good.
right.
So
Thank
are
you again. I'm logging off.
All right, good night.
Thank you.
Good
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 night.
night, Plainsboro.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.